Welcome back to the Game of Thrones recap. I'm Samantha DeLeon.
I'm Eduardo Flores.
And today we're going to be talking about that past episode that just aired yesterday called Beyond the Wall. And we have a lot of thoughts on that.
What an episode.
What an episode. I am just kind of in shock from it. So much happened. And I know there are a lot of criticisms out there. And a lot of people have a lot of different opinions. And we're going to tackle that.
And they're wrong.
And they're wrong, yes.
We're the only right ones.
Yes. So we start out.
And Winterfell.
Yeah, we're going to start off talking about Winterfell. Get
Right.
that out of the way before we go into the,
The big things.
Yes,
Big
creme of the
things.
creme.
Big
So,
wipeouts.
Yes.
So, at Winterfell, we have Sansa and Arya. Arya's confronting Sansa about the letter she found in the previous episode.
Yes.
Containing the, kind of condoning her father from, what was that, season 1?
Season 1.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
A long time ago when she was back with Joffrey and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Arya kind of going up to her and hey, look, I have this letter. You mad, bad person.
Yes. Sansa immediately is concerned. And I don't understand how she's not figured out that Littlefinger is up to something. I mean, every time they speak, it's just so weird. I mean, I just get creepy vibes coming from him. But Arya just basically confronts her saying, I have this letter. And it's basically, shows how buddy Sansa used to be with the Lannisters. And that's a very big, cause of concern because the Lannisters murdered, Ned Stark. So Sansa's obviously worried, and she's trying to downplay this. And you can see, how she's, suave, trying to, talk Arya out of it, but Arya's not having it.
Right, she's trying to make a case for herself. Sansa's like, oh, well, I'm the only one, we're only here because of me. Like, Jon didn't win the Battle of the Bastards. It was, Highgarden, and they go for me. It's like, come on, Sansa.
But Knights of the Vale.
Sorry, Knights of the Vale.
Yes, but, so that happens, and things get kind of tense, and then Sansa goes and talks with Littlefinger, which something I would not do, but I mean, she's still so wrapped around his finger, but he's also wrapped around her finger, so
it's a very weird dynamic that's going on because we still don't know what Littlefinger wants.
Yeah.
Presumably it's like he just wants to control everything. Like you said a long time ago, I want everything.
He wants to be on the Iron Throne. But
right.
I think at this point he's trying to isolate Sansa. I mean, Jon is gone, and all Sansa really has is Arya because, I mean, Bran not there, he's there, but not there mentally because he's three-eyed raven going through all of that. But she talks with him and she's, worried. She's like, I have no idea, where Arya found that letter. Do you know where she found it? And Littlefinger just lies. He's just like, I have no idea. He's like whispering ominously, to her. I hate that now. Earlier in the seasons, he didn't used to whisper as much, and now
all he does is whisper.
It's just and it bothers me. Speak up, dude. But I mean, I understand he's always lurking in the shadows or whatever. I mean, he's outsmarted Arya, and I mean, she's pretty great at what she does. But so she's talking to Littlefinger. Littlefinger says, I have no idea where she got it and stuff, and so he tries to plant the idea in her head that Arya is going to threaten her, it's going to kill her and all that stuff. And so he suggests, get Brienne to, protect you and all that stuff. And Sansa completely, does not do that. And they get a letter from King's Landing inviting Sansa, or Jon, I guess, to speak with Cersei, I believe. And Sansa's shook. And she tells Brienne, you're going to go in my behalf. And Brienne's like, no, I don't trust you here, and all that stuff. And Sansa's like, oh, I'm going to be safe. And she's like, no, I don't trust you with Littlefinger. Because, I mean, so many people at this point have told Sansa to be careful of Littlefinger.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they tell her almost like they've told her at least every season.
At least every other episode in every season.
Yeah, so I don't understand why Sansa's just she just dismisses it. She's like, Brienne, I'm telling you what to do, you're gonna go.
I would hope that Sansa's just secretly playing Littlefinger. But
yeah, I hope so too.
So far, it doesn't appear so.
No, it feels that she's just so I don't know, wrapped up with him. Because I mean, if it weren't for him, they would have lost Battle of the Bastards. Jon would have died. She probably would have died, or I don't know what Ramsay would have done with her. But she did save the day, and I think she's really taking that to her head and stuff like that. But so she tells Brienne, "You're gonna go," and she goes back to her room. Mm-hmm. And I think it's her room. I don't know whose room it is.
I guess it's just the general quarters. I don't know.
Yeah, it's someone's room. Because
regardless,
Littlefinger was in there,
right.
and then Arya went in there, and then Sansa was in there. So I don't know whose room it is. But
I mean, Arya's stuff's in there, so I guess
might be Arya's
room.
But Littlefinger was in her room.
Yeah, I guess
so,
they just used the same set. They just forgot about it.
I don't know.
Anyways.
So she's in there and she's trying to find the letter that, Arya has. And, she's like looking around for it or whatever. And she, is going to look like in the bed, the same spot where Arya found it.
This is my favorite part of the episode, by the way.
Yes.
I just want to
she finds a satchel and she's like, okay, this is weird. And she opens the satchel and there are faces. And so.
It makes no sense. Because it looks like they're made out of rubber.
They really do.
It's like,
I don't know why they did it like that. It just looked really fake. But it's assumed that one of those faces was Walder Frey. Like, I think it was the second one. I couldn't tell who the first one was. I don't know,
because it kind of looked like her dad for a second, did it not?
I thought that for a second.
Yeah.
But there's no way that Arya would have Ned's face. He's so decomposed at this point. And,
you're right. I mean,
he doesn't have a head.
If that old theory proves true, where Ned and the Faceless Man were in jail at the same time, and like the Faceless Man like saved Ned's life. I mean, they could have his face, maybe, or like someone that I look like at least. But it's probably Walder Frey.
Maybe. I mean, who knows? But
we have one more season to find out.
Yeah, and so she finds the bag and there's faces in it. And she's like, "What the hell is this?" And then Arya comes up behind her, and she comes in so silently, like Sansa, checked to make sure she was alone, and then all of a sudden Arya's in the room, and Arya just, starts, immediately going off. Like, she gives Sansa a warning, and she really shows Sansa how much she's evolved as a person, how, far she's come. Because she's telling her, like, oh, this is my craft, this is what I was training to do. And Sansa's like, training for what? And she was like, oh, I was gonna be a faceless man, like, if I really wanted to be you, all I need is your face. And like, the dagger, she was just like, just
Arya's
not waving it around in Sansa's face, but waving it around in Sansa's face. Like, it was so intimidating seeing the way that, seeing Arya speak to Sansa like that. Because, Sansa always had that upper hand. Right. She always, Sansa always used to kind of like put Arya down. I mean, Arya said that in the last episode. Sansa always liked, nice things so she could feel better about everybody else. And I'm pretty sure that applies, to her family. Because, Sansa never had a good relationship with Jon.
Right.
She didn't have that good of a relationship with Arya. Can't remember how her relationships were with Rickon, Bran, and Robb. But
I just think they were better than.
Yeah, they were better.
Others.
But you can see Sansa's really, she's taken aback. She's scared. You can see it. She starts to get scared that Arya might kill her and stuff. And so Arya just, tells her or Sansa tells her, I went through so much. There's no way that you could have gone through what I went through and stuff. And Arya's like, yeah, we'll never know. But if I wanted to know what it's like to be you, all I need is your face. And like, she's like, your pretty little face and all that stuff. And just the way that she does it, the whole conversation, we're doing a terrible job of summing it up. But it just go watch it. Like, I don't know why you would be watching this. You haven't watched the episode, but it was very bone chilling seeing Arya just. That confidence that she has.
She just puts the foot down, and it's the role reversal, like you said, from like the previous seasons.
Yeah.
Season 1, it was always like, Arya, go out of here, get out of here, Arya, you little kid. Now it's like, Sansa, I'm a ninja now.
Yeah.
I can kill you. So
and
here's a dagger.
And Arya's questioning all this stuff about Sansa, not just trying to be mean, to like, push her buttons or whatever, but she really, really, really does not, trust Sansa right now in terms of leading the North. She really thinks that Sansa's trying to undermine Jon.
Isn't Littlefinger still on her list, or was he never on there?
I thought he was on there. I think if he was, Arya would have gone through that already.
Fair enough.
But Sansa and Arya just I understand where Arya's coming from. She's always had this special relationship with Jon and stuff, but I give so much, kudos to Arya for seeing through Sansa and just going up front and confronting her and telling her, I don't trust your loyalties, all this stuff. So that's basically what happens in Winterfell.
Right. I think we should go for Dragonstone next. And we'll cover a little bit of Dragonstone, then go to the outside the wall, then go back to Dragonstone, because that's kind of how that's kind of that order of events happened. Mm-hmm. We go to Dragonstone, and Tyrion. I don't know. Tyrion has this moment where he's talking to Daenerys and trying to play it safe and kind of give her like, oh, you know, I'm trying to give you the long run. Like, I'm not trying to, you know, you need a successor. You need to watch your back. You need to
I can tell I think he's trying to set Daenerys and Jon up. I think he's that, I mean, we obviously see the chemistry between them, but I think he's that one character who's like, y'all should get together. Other than Sir Davos.
I ship it.
Yeah.
And basically, you know, Daenerys is kind of like fed up with Tyrion's plans, like all the playing it safe and stuff like that. You know, she's really becoming more and more just
of a dragon,
frustrated and being more fierce about what she wants to do. Again, you know, Tyrion putting home the point, like, you know, you could have died out there, and like, just letting you know you need a successor. And she's like, I'll have a successor when I'm on the throne.
Yeah, she doesn't want to talk about any, you know, line of succession.
Right.
You know, I see where Tyrion is coming from. He's trying to plan long term, and I think Daenerys at this point is just, she's so stressed out. You know, she's at a very pivotal point right now. She could very easily lose this war, or she could win it. And you know, during this conversation with Tyrion, her focus is still on the Iron Throne, and she just really, really thinks that Tyrion is trying to like undermine her. Like, he's still loyal to his family and stuff. And I really think Tyrion really wants Daenerys to succeed. I mean, he was, you know, talking to her, you know, like, you are so important, you know, like, it was so dangerous for you to go out there because, you know, if you die, that's it, you know. And so they have that conversation, and Daenerys is like, oh, well, I don't want to talk about the line of succession until I'm on the throne. We will talk about it when I wear the crown. She keeps saying that. So
Tyrion's definitely conflicted. You know, he's loyal to his family, at least part of it. Yeah, part of it. But, you know, for the most part, he does want Daenerys to be on the throne. After that, we kind of cut to the outside the wall where Jon and company are trying to go find.
Yes, Suicide Squad is making their way, trying to find them. And it's really funny seeing them on the way there because they're kind of just all bickering with each other. You know, Gendry is still going off at Thoros and Beric and just saying how angry he is. He's like, you sold me to a witch, like you know, like, you literally, I wanted to join you guys and you sold me off like cattle. You know, he's going off. He's so angry. And the Hound's like, you're alive, aren't you? You know, why are you getting so upset? And Gendry's like, because...
The Hound's always like, shut up,
yes,
you're alive.
And they kind of just make fun of him for, you know, nagging. They kind of tell him, like, you're nagging. And he's like, I'm not nagging. And they're like, you're nagging.
You're nagging, shut up.
And Jon is also talking with Jorah. You know, they're talking about Jorah's dad, you know. And Jon, you know, tries to give him his sword back because, you know...
originally, it was the Mormont's sword kind of like handed down over generations.
And Jorah, I forgot what he did, but he betrayed his family.
Yeah,
like,
kind of like disgraced them in a way.
Yeah, I cannot remember what was the story behind it, but I know for sure that he was exiled. And he left, and his dad never thought he was ever going to get back to Westeros. And he died a few seasons ago. So, way earlier, he gave that to Jon, and the sword to Jon, and Jon tries to give it back to Jorah, you know, like, your dad, you know, said this was supposed to be in your house. This sword has been there for so long. I'm not a part of your house. Take it back. And Jorah's like, nah. Like, you know, I broke my dad's heart. He actually gave it to you because he wanted you to have it. You know, just take it. And there's like a couple small little moments too. I think one of my favorite moments in this episode is when Jon is talking to Beric. I think that's his name. I'm pretty sure it's his name. He has the one with the eye patch. Yeah. He's the one that's died like 6 times. And and Jon is just, you know, talking about, like, they're talking about religion, you know, as always. And Thoros and Beric are followers of the Lord of Light. Because, you know, there's so many different religions in Westeros. You know, there's the old gods, there's the new gods, old gods and new, and now there's the Lord of Light.
They talk about, this season especially, they talked about him so much.
Yeah. Because they're really trying to say
does that mean that he's going to show up?
I
It's
don't know.
going to show up because they really are driving the point home that he's real.
Yeah, they're really driving the point, you know, like, everything happens for a reason. And, you know, Jon's talking about, you know, like, why should I believe in some God who doesn't know, you know, like, you know, what he wants? Because he's, you know, Jon keeps asking, you know, like, what does, like, everyone keeps telling Jon, you know, like, hey, the Lord of Light wants you alive. And he's like, why? And then everyone tells Jon, you know, I don't know. And then Jon's like, well, if he doesn't know what he wants, then why should I even listen to him? Like, why do we need to pay attention to a guy who doesn't know what he wants? And they're like, dude, come on. And he has the same... Yeah.
Because he's the Lord of Light. You should listen to him because he's the Lord of Light.
Yeah.
That's it.
And so Barrick is talking to him, and Barrick really makes a comment, like, Barrick says, like, he's there to really defend and protect people who can't protect themselves. Mm-hmm. And you can really see it hit home with John, because, I mean, that's him as a person. I mean, of course, technically he's half Stark, but he is very, very, very much like his father in the sense where he will do the right thing. He will sacrifice himself for others. He's that type of guy who, jump on the grenade to save everybody. He's that guy.
Because they'll just get resurrected again.
Yeah, So this really hits home with him, and you can see him really, try to digest it and stuff. And so they have a few more lighthearted moments, whatnot.
There's some stuff between Tormund and Clegane.
Yes, Tormund is, still in love with, like, Brienne. Right. He's talking about her to the Hound, and he's, like, describing her. And the Hound immediately, knows who he's talking about. Because, I mean, Brienne almost killed him. And he's like, yeah, I know who she is. And all that stuff. And Tormund's like, oh, I want to have giant monster babies with her and stuff. And I just thought that was the cutest thing ever. I thought it was so good. But in the middle of this happening... They reach this, like, snowstorm. Yeah. And this, like... bear.
This is amazing.
Out. Yeah, it's not like a polar. I mean, I don't know.
It's a zombie bear.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Zombie bears are super cool. Mm-hmm. White Walkers have zombie bears. Bears. They get attacked by this zombie bear who's got, like, cool, like, rib cage is exposed and all that. Like, half its face is gone. And it kills, like, a good amount. Well, it kills, like, the people that don't matter.
Yeah, couple people, like, one guy dies. I don't remember who he was. I don't think they ever said his name. They just had, other people with them.
He gets clawed, and they have to carry him out, and he's, like, bleeding to death. And
and then Thoros, gets bitten by this, or gets hit by this bear, too. And this bear, I mean, I've never seen a polar bear in real life, so I don't know how big polar bears are, but this bear was huge. And, I mean, also understand, this is, like, a fantasy show, But, I mean, Arya, when she met Nymeria again, Nymeria looked huge. And this bear was huge. So it was like literally like a giant bear. Like a really big bear.
Is at least size of 2 brown bears, I'll say.
Yeah. Like it's a big thing. And they're like attacking it or whatnot. And then they finally kill it. Mm-hmm. And Thoros and Beric, because they're like followers of the Lord of Light. It's so cool. They can like whip out their sword and it just turns on fire.
So all he does is just this. Like he kind of like, he puts his like 2 fingers on it. He just goes upwards and it just turns on fire.
Yeah, because they talk about it like way earlier when in the show, way in the earlier seasons when Arya is with the Brotherhood Without Banners with Gentry and Hot Pie and stuff, and they start talking about fire, and they were talking about how since they are believers of the Lord of Light and stuff like that, the Lord like gives them like fire or whatever. It's weird, but they can literally whip out fire anywhere. I mean, they're in like like beyond the wall. It's like a snowstorm, and they just have these fire swords, which are like so cool. They're kind of like lightsabers, and so the fire obviously kills
the bear. They
kill
the bear.
They kill the White Walkers, and so like the Hound is there, and he has a fear of fire, and the bear's coming at him, and he just freezes. It's so weird to see this powerful guy. He can kill anyone or anything and all that stuff, and he's so scared of fire. And the polar bear was on fire and it's running towards him, and then Thoros just comes in and like takes the heat for it. No pun intended, but he basically sacrifices himself for the Hound, and you kind of just see the Hound kind of like take it in. Like he knows that that he has this fear of fire. When people are dying because of it and stuff, and so they're like freaking out when this polar bear dies. They're like, holy moly, oh my god.
Can we go back, please?
Yeah, they're like, oh my god, what are we doing? And so they keep going forward, and they find the army of the dead, and they're like all walking, or they think they find the army.
They found like this small company of it. There's one White Walker, and then there's a few whites.
Yeah.
So they go to they start fighting with the little company, and they start getting down on the whites, but then Jon fights the one White Walker.
Yeah, there's like a leader. And there's like, you can tell it's like a White Walker, and then like the other like followers kind of literally look like zombies.
They're basically like, a few of them were the skeleton whites, and then like a couple of them were just newly zombified.
Yeah, and so they're all fighting them or whatnot, and then John stabs the main one,
the White Walker.
The White Walker, and all of the other ones fall
except for one.
And so everyone's like, whoa, what just happened? And so they kind of figure out that if they kill whoever turned,
when they kill a certain White Walker, however many, I guess, people and animals he turned will all get destroyed.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like beacons. So if you destroy a beacon, the signal goes away.
Yeah. So like all of them fall. So they're like, they take the sentence very quickly, and there's one White Walker who just doesn't fall, and so they're like, all right, that's one we're taking, we're out of here. Mm-hmm. So they're like tying it up, and the White just kind of just screams, lets out this searing scream that's so loud, and like they know that that's bad news. And they're kind of trying to hurry up out of there, and then it's just a
They see the army of the dead starting to come.
The army just starts zoning in on them, and so they just are like run. So
they send Gendry back to the East Watch to go send.
John knows immediately, what's going to happen. John has fought White Walkers before. He knows, he knows what he's seen. He knows what Bran has seen. All this stuff. He knows what's coming. So he's very smart in this moment to, before they all come, he tells Gendry, like, you're the fastest, you're the youngest one here, you need to run back to Eastwatch, and you need to send a raven to Daenerys and say that we need help. Because he knows bad things are coming. He knows, okay, if this entire army of the dead is about to surround us, we're kind of, fucked.
Yeah, we're kind of screwed.
Yeah, so Gendry, takes off. And they're all
as fast as he can.
Yeah, he's running. Like, the homeboy can run. And they're all running, and then all the rest of them are running in the opposite direction, and they're trying to run away from them. And they end up on, like, this kind of,
It's like a frozen lake.
Yeah, a frozen lake. And they end up on, like, on the frozen lake, there's, like, this rock, and they end up on there. And so basically what happens is that all the water in the frozen lake kind of, like, breaks in. Like, they are walking on the frozen lake, and they realize, like, this is a frozen lake. Mm-hmm. And they can see the cracks and stuff, and they see the White Walkers coming, and they're like, you know what, we just have to run. So they run, and they beeline for this rock, and then they wait there. And so all the ice breaks, like, around them.
Like, a circle of ice breaks, and then, like, the army that stops, because most of them fall into the water.
And so they're basically on a little island, like, this small little island, and then all around them are the White Walkers.
Right.
The entire army of the dead is surrounding them.
So another thing to note, like, this episode takes place in like a number of days.
Yes, a number of days. Yes, but it's very quick. And I know one of the criticisms that a lot of people have had. I know I was reading articles from New York Times and The Guardians and The Hollywood Reporter, and a lot of people have criticisms that Game of Thrones is getting lazy in the sense, where earlier in like the beginning of the show, if they sent out ravens and stuff, it would take episodes to reach people. But I understand that this is the end now. It doesn't have to be that realistic.
I personally like that.
Yeah, I like it too.
They've done it for 6 seasons.
Long.
So might as well just say, we have fast travel now. Why not?
Yeah, I would get it if it were, like season 2 or something where I'm just starting off watching the show. Like, okay, that's not believable. But if you've watched Game of Thrones from the beginning to now, you know that there's only so many episodes left.
Right.
You know that this is just for the sake of time. Because, I can't imagine a worse episode than, Gendry, running all the way to East Watch.
That's an episode.
And that's an episode. And then they have to wait. They have to wait for Daenerys to get this. That's just, you're wasting time. It's, production, all that stuff. I personally see why they're doing it. Mm-hmm. It saves so much time and it keeps the emotion in. And so Gendry runs and runs and runs all the way to East Watch, and he like collapses dramatically in the snow.
But
like,
he makes
right
it.
Outside. But he makes it. He gets to the gate and he just falls. And then Sir Davos runs out there and he's like, oh my God, like, we need to help him. And Gendry's like, we need to send a raven now. And so after that, it goes to Dragonstone again.
Yes, Daenerys. She gets the message.
Yeah, Daenerys gets the message.
She's already walking towards her dragons to leave.
She has her dragons, and Tyrion's, scurrying behind her, like, you can't do this. You cannot do this. And,
This was weird.
It was a little weird.
Because after he's trying to, like, stop her from leaving, she goes, well, what do you want me to do? And he goes, nothing.
You can't do, like, he says you have to do nothing, and it's just so hard to not do anything. But, he's telling her, like, if something happens to you, this is it. It's over. There's no war. There's nothing. Like, we're fighting for you, and if you die, that's it. And so Daenerys is just like, I can't sit by and do nothing. I sat by and did nothing, and that's how we lost Dorne and Highgarden. And you just see you can see Tyrion just, he takes it and he's like, he's trying so hard to, really communicate with Daenerys and like to tell her, this is dangerous, and it's his job to, he's her hand. And so Daenerys, I can see why she's so fed up. She, like, again, she's at a very pivotal point. She could very easily win it. She could very easily lose this.
Right.
And, she has so many things to consider. She has the Dothraki. The Unsullied are still out there at Castle Rock.
Yeah.
I just know that they're there. I mean, I think we're going to see them next episode.
Right.
And, Daenerys has lost a lot. And she knows that Jon is very important. And she knows that, she needs to go there. She just knows it. And she's wearing this badass outfit. She's wearing all white and stuff.
Yeah, she changes her, like, outfit to, like, battle outfit. All white with fur lining and stuff like that.
And so she just tells Tyrion, like, no, I'm sorry. I have to go. I have to go.
A chance.
I mean, I can see why she has to go. I mean, I know that she doesn't know Jon very well. And, a lot of those people. But at least, like, with Jorah. Jorah has saved her life, like, what? 3-4 times? Like, I know Daenerys would feel so guilty if she did not try to do the same for him, to try to save him.
Right, she saved him more than a few times.
Yeah. So she takes off, and, she takes all 3, and then we go back
to outside the wall.
Yeah.
Where they're kind of just, again, the army of the dead
is just surrounding them.
They're kind of, I guess they're dumb. They just don't they need to be aggroed. So they're kind of just standing around.
I thought of it as they were waiting because, they're, since it's a lake, all the ice broke, and, the lake will freeze again. So they're just standing, like, they're all of the, Suicide Squad, that's what I'm going to call them. Suicide Squad is just sitting on that rock. They have that White Walker with them. And they had Thoros with him. He got mauled by the bear, and then he died, like, the first night afterwards. He woke up.
Right.
They all woke up, and then they see Thoros, just kind of, like, dead, which didn't surprise me. I really did not think he was going to make it through the night because, he was in bad shape. Yeah. And so that's a problem of concern because he was the priest who kept bringing back Beric, and, Jon was resurrected. So everyone knows now, like, all right.
No more invincibility.
Yeah, that's it. This is our last life. Yeah. And so they are just, kind of just freezing there. They're just staying there. I mean, they can't leave because, they don't really know if the lake is frozen down yet. Right. They can't move. And
they're completely surrounded, so there's nowhere for them to go anyway.
Completely surrounded. So they're just waiting there. And, the Hound...
The Hound just kind of just throwing rocks, and
he's bored. He's like, he hits this one walker, and it's just like, doesn't do anything. And he throws another one. He throws this heavy rock, and he throws it, and it just kind of, like, slides on the floor. Like, it hits the floor, and it slides. Mm-hmm. And so everyone at once, not only the Army of the Dead, but, Suicide Squad, kind of all puts together once, like, the lake is frozen again. And so you see the Hound go, right. Oh, shit.
Oh, no.
Like, he goes, oh, no. And everyone goes, oh, no. And then, the White Walkers realize we can go at them now. So slowly, one by, like, they all start to come at them. And they go in this fierce battle. Tormund almost dies because he gets, tackled. There's some other person who dies.
This is like the most tense thing in the entire series.
Yes, it's so intense.
All your favorite characters are just there.
All together.
Being like this close from dying each time.
There's just so much going on. You're not only are you trying to keep up with Jon, you're trying to keep up with Tormund, you're trying to keep up with the Hound, Beric, there are other people. Jorah, oh my God. Yeah. And, all of them are fighting. It's just them against this giant army, and they're going easy on them. I mean, if they really wanted to kill them, they would have gone all in at once. They would have not survived. Right. But, they're somehow miraculously holding them off and stuff. And, the Hound goes and saves Tormund, from all the other ones. And they kind of just, acknowledge, like, this could be the end.
Right.
Like, you can see, like, the look on their faces and stuff. And especially Jon, he takes a moment, he just takes it all in. He sees the men that he's fighting with. He sees the White Walkers. And it's like, it's a split second, but the way that they, show it, it's really cool. You can see him think. He knows, like, what's at stake. He knows, like, what could happen. And he just, he keeps on fighting. And, like, as he's finished, thinking about this, he, like, brings up his sword. And then Drogon flies in, and it is the coolest thing ever.
Because you see, like, an orange colors start to like fade in.
Yes.
And you're like, yes, fire, yes,
yes,
and then the fire comes.
I mean, why else would there be orange in, you know, the north? And it's just awesome. You see Daenerys on Drogon, and you know, Viseron and Rhaegal are like, you know, with her, and they're just going at it, you know. They're so happy, and then Drogon lands, and they're all fighting him off, and they're all getting on. Daenerys knows this is a rescue mission.
Okay.
Like, and
John.
Okay.
For
so
like for the whole show, I didn't like Daenerys. There's one point I was like, yeah, Daenerys is cool, Jon's cool. Then Jon's got to act stupid.
Yes, she lands. They're all getting on. So Jorah's on, Tormund, everybody's on the dragon, and Daenerys is, you know, reaching down, like she's telling Jon, grab my hand. And then Jon is like, okay, I'm gonna go up there with you. And then he looks around and he sees all of these walkers coming towards them.
Yeah, and he's just like, no, screw it, I'm just gonna start killing them all.
So he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and keep fighting, trying to hold them off.
He also sees the Night King, so I guess he wants to try to go kill him.
Yeah,
I guess.
I think he thinks
why?
that he like has a chance of killing the Night King, because earlier when they were all on that island, you know, they all kind of acknowledged like, okay, we're stuck here. And they're like, there's no way that we can win this. And then Beric is like, well, you can if you kill that one. And they point at the Night King. And they know that, like, okay, if we kill him, all of the other ones will fall. But that's the thing. Jon knows he can't just go and kill him, you know. I mean, they have an entire army. You can't, that's not really how it works. And so Jon, I think he gets the idea that he can do it. I don't know. He just starts fighting them off. And if he were to just get on Drogon at that moment,
just blow more fire. You don't have to go fight him.
I know. If he would have just not done that, not been the hero for like 5 minutes.
We get it. You're the hero. You stop now.
And
this
it's
is
funny
not one play
because it's ironic because earlier when Daenerys was having that conversation with Tyrion, she was talking about like, you're not a hero. You know, like, and she says that's what I like about you. And she starts naming heroes. She names Jorah, she names Daario, and she also names Jon. And, you know, Tyrion's like, that's funny that you mentioned that Jon is, you know, like, you mentioned him, that he's a hero. And she's like, well, heroes do dumb things. And it's funny that she says like that because he does a dumb thing. He, instead of getting on Drogon and they can take off and everything would have been okay, he just stays there on the ground killing these White Walkers. And they're all on Drogon like, what are you doing, Jon? Come on. And then the Night King just...
Like the coolest... thing he could have done. He gets handed an ice spear,
like giant ice spear. Like, this is like not, you know, your normal typical spear. This is like a spear. Like, it kind of looks like the one that Qyburn had in the Scorpion. Like, you one look at the spear, you know, all right, this is not good.
We're like, okay, wait, what is he doing? Oh no, he sees the dragon.
Yes, and so he wastes no time at all. He grabs it and he throws it. Perfect aim.
Effortlessly.
And it goes and it hits Viseron. And he goes down,
dead.
You know, dead, bleeding out in the sky, crashes into the lake, like into the frozen lake, falls in the water. He's dead, gone already. So Daenerys has 2 dragons now. She literally witnesses the murder of one of her children. Yeah. And everyone on the dragon, everyone sees it. Jon sees it. Everyone knows, oh my God, we just lost this dragon. And so Jon kind of just like is like, all right, you know what? Go. Just go. Mm-hmm. And so Daenerys, you know, you see her in the split second, like, should I stay back for Jon or should I go?
As the Night King, he's grabbing another spear.
Yeah, he's grabbing another spear in this, and so she's like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm taking off. So she takes off, and she takes off with everybody except for Jon. She leaves Jon there because Jon's like, go. I mean, it's kind of his fault that he
gets swarmed and like starts to get
he gets swarmed and all this stuff, and so she just takes off, and so. This looks like the end for Jon. You know, he's getting swarmed and all this stuff, and I think he gets pushed in the water.
Yeah, he gets pulled into the water by the whites. And
and so he's like in there in the water, and they just take off. And so then
she almost gets shot out of the sky. Like
almost. The Night King does throw another spear, but it misses.
She does like a
little spin thing. It's cool, and. So she takes off, and they go to Eastwatch, and they are there, and while they're there, Jon is still, you know,
you don't know what happened.
He fell in the water, and so I'm assuming all the White Walkers thought he was dead. They're like, okay, whatever, he's dead. So they're all walking, and then Jon.
It's not clear.
Yeah,
but I mean,
and you can see Jon's sword, and you know, you see the lake, and it's just like Jon pops back up. And he's like, ooh, like, you know, like I can just imagine how cold he is because it's a frozen lake. And he comes out, and he's walking back. He's walking towards them, and he gets and he pulls up his sword like he's ready to defend himself. I think he thinks this is it. This is how I'm gonna die. And then out of nowhere, you see Benjen Stark.
Shout out to Uncle Benjen.
Oh my God, the same way
saving the day again.
Yes, like almost the exact same way when Bran and Mira were running into trouble, and this mysterious guy comes on this horse, and it's Uncle Benjen.
The biggest hero.
Same thing happens again. Jon is like, okay, I'm gonna die. Who cares? And Uncle Benjen just comes and tells him, like, he pulls down like his mask and he shows him like who he is. And Jon, literally, you see Jon go into shock. He goes, Uncle Benjen, and he's like, you need to get on this horse. You need to get out of here now. Like, get out. And then he's like, come with me. He's like, I can't. There's no time. And he gets him on the horse, and he just tells the horse to go. And the horse goes straight all the way back to Eastwatch. And Jon is looking at Benjen, start to fight off this army by himself. And he doesn't make it, obviously.
He gets swarmed again.
Yeah, he gets swarmed again.
Uncle Benjen.
But Benjen, he said it to Bran, he's basically in this half-dead state, and he is just, I don't know, he knew that he was alive for something. I think everyone knows, like, or most people, or most characters on the show figuring out that they have a purpose. And I think you can see in that quick moment that Benjen does know his purpose. Like, I need to get Jon out of here, and so he sacrifices himself. And you see Jon witness the whole thing. And I think Jon's really taking in, that how important it is for him to be alive. Like how many people have died for him, how many things people have sacrificed just for this one man. And he disappears, and he sees Uncle Benjen die. And then we go to Daenerys, and
back at Eastwatch,
and she's standing in the same place where Tyrion and Jon last saw each other, way at the top, and she's looking out dramatically, and everything, and she's watching Drogon fly, and she's devastated. Yeah. She's so sad.
She thinks up to this point she's lost Jon, and
she also thinks she loses Jon, and I think she's looking out longingly for Viseron and also Jon, but it's not really like clear. It's just like she's there, and Jorah's like, it's time for us to go. Like, we need to go, and she's like, just a few more minutes, and like she's just looking, and you can't really tell what she's thinking about, but it's obvious. She's probably thinking about she lost Jon, she lost Viseron and stuff, and then they hear the horns. And they're like, there's a rider approaching, and she looks down, and Jorah looks down, and they see Jon on this horse. Like, he made it. You can just see the look on her face, like, oh my God, he's alive. And so I think at this moment, she really starts to feel something. Like, okay, this is not just some normal guy. And so they bring him in, and they go and they grab him, and they, immediately start warming him up. Like, they pull apart his jacket.
I think they're on like a ship going back. No, I guess they're not on a ship. I thought for some reason they're on a ship.
They showed the ship like they were getting ready to go, and Daenerys is just the last one.
Oh, because they're gonna go meet Cersei.
Yeah,
so
they were gonna.
He has no time to recover. He just get on the boat.
Yeah. So they get him on the boat. He's just all warm or whatever. They're trying to warm him up, and they like rip apart the jacket. It's literally frozen.
Yeah, like, that was really cool. It was just like they had to
cold.
tear it open.
And like they're doing all that, trying to warm Jon up or whatever. And Daenerys is just standing in the hallway because at this point Jon is is a little bedroom. And she sees him, they're ripping off his clothes, whatever, and she can see the
heart where he got
where he got stabbed in the heart, and how he got stabbed everywhere else. And she, remember earlier, a few episodes ago, she asked him, did you really take the heart and the knife for your people? And he's like, and he never really, gets to go into it because Jorah comes back. But she sees it herself. She sees, the scar on him. She sees the multiple scars on him. So she's looking at him, and you kind of just see on her face, like, this guy's not like other guys. I mean, he died literally for his people.
Right.
And she can see that because she's kind of, that same way too. And so, Jon falls back, like he falls asleep, and he wakes up, and Daenerys is sitting right next to him, of course. And they kind of just have like a really sweet moment. It's very intimate. The first thing he tells her, he's like, I'm so sorry.
Right. I wouldn't call it romantic. I just call it.
It's intimate. It is intimate. Yeah. It's like it gets romantic in a way. It's like they kind of just started holding hands, and then they just both like, feel the feelings that they have for each other. They can feel it, like they're holding hands, and they both are like, whoa, what are we feeling right now? And they just like, Jon apologizes to her. Says like, I'm so sorry and all that stuff. And she's like, those dragons are my children. I hope you understand that. And she's like, but I just want to let you know that like, this, like, it just got personal for her. Like she tells him like, I'm sorry, I didn't believe you. Like it's just you. It's one of those things where when you see it, it's when you start to believe. And so she saw the entire army. She knows how big of a threat they are. I mean, they killed a dragon. Like this is like these dragons are weapons of mass destruction. So if you can imagine if someone were just to wipe out part of like 1/3 of our nuclear.
One person can do it.
One person. I mean, that is obviously, a huge, huge moment of concern. And Daenerys is like, we're going to take him down. Like, I promise you we're going to take him down. And and Jon is just like, oh, thank God. Like, he doesn't say that, but like, the there's
relief
a sigh.
on his face.
The relief. And then he is just like he says, like, I would bend the knee right now. Or he says, like, thank you, Dany. And she's like, Dany. Oh, my God, I've not been called Dany in so long. It's like for my brother, but like, my brother was a horrible person. He's like, all right, so I won't call you Dany. And he was like, how about my queen? And like, oh my God, boom. Like the way she looks at him, she's like, and he's like, I would bend the knee right now, but I'm not really exactly in the best shape. But yeah, you're my queen. And she's like, what about your people back at home? Because the last time a Northern King went and pledged, loyalty to royalty, Ned died. So they know, I know when Jon goes back, it's not going to exactly be such a warm welcome. But he's like, I don't care. Like, they'll get it. Like, they'll see what I see and, just blow them away. And then they just, they kind of hold hands again. And then this is where they're just kind of, staring at each other. And, I thought Jon died for a second. Because they're just not, Daenerys is just looking at him. And then Jon just does not even blink. Like, they're just holding on each other. And I'm like, did Jon die? And then they're like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to go. And it's so funny just to see them the way that they finish that. And so they have, that moment, and then that's that.
Yeah. And
then we go back one last time to Beyond the Wall. And you see the army of the dead dragging, they're
ridiculous.
Pulling, they have, I guess, chains or whatever. They're pulling something.
Yeah, where did they get the chains from?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where did you get the chains from?
I have no idea. And then the camera, zooms out, and you see that they're pulling Drogon out of the water.
Not Viserys.
I'm sorry. Yeah. They're pulling Viserys out of the water. And this is huge, I'm pretty sure everyone could assume that, that's if a dragon died beyond the wall, that's what was going to happen.
Right.
But you can see the body of Viserys, and he's not even the biggest dragon, but he's still huge.
Yeah, it's big dragon.
The Night King just goes up to him and puts his hand on his forehead. Kind of very, very similar, and it mirrors that scene when Jon first meets Drogon. Or not first meets, when he puts his hand onto Drogon's forehead. Mm-hmm. It's almost the exact same way. And the Night King puts his hand on Viserys' forehead, and his eyes are closed, and then they open blue, and that's how it ends. So that was it. That's all we have. That's all our thoughts on this past week's episode. Sorry that it was long. We just had a lot of thoughts.
Oh, you think this one was long? Just wait until next week.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine how next week's gonna be. But
2-hour review.
Really, I'm Samantha.
I'm Eduardo Flores.
And thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you next week.